What's up, gamers? Welcome to this special edition of the show where I keep you guys updated on the latest in gaming news. And guys, as we know, it's E3 week this week, so the videos are going to be a little bit different to usual. Pretty much, I'm just going to be covering the main games and topics from each press conference this week, so the videos are going to be, as I said, a little bit different. But nonetheless, Bethesda was the first publisher with their press conference today, and the first game they showcased was Doom. Pretty much, they showed about 8 minutes of single player, which showed us a little bit about the campaign, some of the weapons that we'll be able to use, and the different types of demons we'll be facing. One thing I really loved about this was just how brutal some of the kills can get, especially here when he picks up the chainsaw and just starts cutting the demons in half. It almost seems that the majority of the brutal kills are done through meleeing, which is really cool, and some of the kills look almost as brutal as some of the things we'd see in Mortal Kombat, which is awesome. Anyway, along with the single player footage, we were also shown some footage from the multiplayer. The multiplayer footage was a lot less than the single player footage that we got, although it still did give us a pretty good look at how it's going to play, and it seems like it's going to be pretty similar to how the classic multiplayer was, with all the crazy fast movement, but with obviously a few new features as well. Finally, they showed us a new map editor, which will be in the game. It's going to be called Snap Map, and it's pretty much going to let us make custom maps and custom game modes, and one thing that they did emphasize was that this map making system is actually going to be extremely simple to use. It's pretty much just going to be select an object and then place it wherever you want, which is really cool because it means that there's going to be a ton of custom made community maps for the game. Anyway, Doom was given a release window for the first quarter of 2016, so we're still going to have to wait a little while before we can get our hands on it. But moving on, the next game that Bethesda showed off was Battlecry, which is sort of like a faction-based third-person combat game. It actually does look pretty cool and is something a little bit different, but I'm not too sure if this game's going to be that big of a hit. It sort of looks as if it's going to be one of those games that people just pick up the day it's released, play it for a couple of days, and then won't really touch it again after that. But then again, it could actually turn out to be really good, but by the look of the trailer on YouTube, it's already got like 50% dislikes, so it doesn't look like the community really likes the look of this game either. Anyway, the worldwide open beta will be available later this year, and you can sign up for the beta at battlecrythegame.com, so if you actually do like the look of this game and you want to try it out during the beta, you can sign up there. But moving to the next game that was announced during the press conference, and it was Dishonored 2. Now, this was supposed to be a pretty big surprise from Bethesda, but yesterday they actually accidentally had their live stream turned on during the rehearsal, and the word Dishonored was heard, so it sort of ruined their whole surprise of Dishonored 2. But nonetheless, Dishonored 2 was announced, and it came with this cinematic trailer, and the first thing that we really notice is that there's going to be a female protagonist. We don't really get that much gameplay footage, but the graphics are definitely a huge upgrade from the previous game, and it definitely has the same sort of stylized pastel sort of look that Dishonored had in the first game. The game was announced to be released on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC only, and Bethesda also announced the Definitive Edition, which is going to be a complete remaster of the original Dishonored for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which will include the original game as well as all the additional DLC remastered and brought up to speed to be played on the current gen consoles. Anyway, we weren't really given a release date for Dishonored 2, but my guess is that it's going to be released next year, but the Definitive Edition will be released on the 25th of August this year, which is really good for those of us who haven't yet played the original game. But anyway, Bethesda did leave the best part of their press conference until last, and of course, it was all about Fallout 4. This was definitely their longest segment of their press conference, and they really did go over quite a lot of things that are in the game. They started off the press conference with a whole bunch of concept art from the development of Fallout 4, and then we were shown a whole lot of in-game footage. Basically, the game's going to start off in the pre-nuclear world where we're going to be able to fully customize the way our character looks, with the ability to be able to play as a female as well. And then once the game continues, we're going to be the sole survivor of Vault 111 after the nuclear war has surpassed 200 years later, and then the game really begins. The game really does look pretty incredible, and there's going to be a huge amount of interaction as well as the ability to choose different responses when interacting with the different characters. The Vault Tech assisted targeting system is also back, which is awesome, and also our character isn't going to be completely mute and is actually going to have a voice, which is actually a really good addition that they've added to the game. The gameplay demo also shows off the crafting system in the game and shows us a whole bunch of different items and structures we can build, as well as the ability to craft our own weapons from different items that we've found around the world. They also announced the Pip Boy edition of the game, which is going to include a wearable Pip Boy, and although this is pretty gimmicky, it's actually going to fit our smartphones, and there's there's also going to be a downloadable app which is going to be fully interactive with what we're doing in-game, which I doubt anyone is actually going to wear while playing the game, but is still a pretty cool thing to just have as like a collector's item. Anyway, the Pip Boy Edition is also going to include a whole bunch of other things as well that you can see on screen, and finally the game is going to be released on the 11th of November, which is just awesome because really, if you think about it, that's not really that far away. Anyway, one last thing that Bethesda also announced was their new mobile game called Fallout Shelter. It's pretty much going to let us completely design our own vault, sort of like a take on SimCity, where we're going to be able to create a whole bunch of different rooms and characters with their own personalized stats. The game is completely free and doesn't require an internet connection and does actually look like a lot of fun. So that's a pretty cool little game that Bethesda's been working on for our phones, and if you want to go check out the mobile game, it is actually available right now on the App Store. Anyway guys, that pretty much wraps up the Bethesda press conference for E3 this year. If you guys want to go check out the full conference, I will leave it in the description below, as well as all of the individual trailers and gameplay demos that were shown. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Normal videos will resume next week after E3, but thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video, but until then, stay gaming. Instead, it's pretty much going to be just like sitting inside a virtual reality room playing on a big screen TV, which isn't really that great because obviously we want to be completely immersed while using a virtual reality headset, and this is pretty much just going to be like playing on a normal TV but with a